Live from the Business RadioX studio inside Renaissance Bank, the bank that specializes in understanding you. It's time for North Fulton Business Radio.
And hello again, everyone. Welcome to another edition of North Fulton Business Radio. I'm John Ray. And folks, we are broadcasting as usual from inside Renaissance Bank in beautiful Alpharetta. And today we've got a great guest. Jason Etheridge is with us, folks. Jason is the founder and CEO of LogicSpeak, and an award-winning company in a lot of ways. And we're going to talk a little bit about that in a second, about Jason and his management philosophy and his company. But before we get to Jason, I want to remind you again that Renaissance is the place to go if you want to be, maybe I ought to put it that way, a refugee from one of those mega banks. If you're tired of the mega bank experience, the computer-generated voices and them really not wanting to talk to you live, Renaissance, I have heard from folks that I refer to them, is big enough to handle pretty much any need you can throw at them, but they're small enough to deliver their services in a personal way. RenaissanceBank.com is where you need to go. Check them out, and I think you'll be glad you did. Renaissance Bank, understanding you, member FDIC. And now I want to welcome Jason Etheridge. Jason, again, is the founder, CEO of LogicSpeak. Jason, welcome. Welcome back.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. It's always good to be with you.
That means you were a great guest the first time you were here.
I think it just means I showed up at the door and you couldn't turn me away.
That's right. I couldn't get anybody else to come on, so you felt sorry for me. Thank you for that.
My pleasure.
At least the truth comes out for our audience, right? But for those that don't know you, let's talk a little bit about you and LogicSpeak. How you serving folks out there?
Yeah, thanks for asking. LogicSpeak, we are a managed IT and cybersecurity company focused on the small and medium-sized business located right here in Alpharetta, Georgia.
There you go. What don't we know about managed services providers that we need to know? We hear that term, right? And what is it about your work in IT consulting, managed services, that there's a lot that people assume, and then there's a lot of things that you do that people don't even realize?
How much time do we have? We could talk for hours.
Yeah.
The biggest thing I'd like to leave people with is that a really good, operationally mature managed IT services provider is going to be proactive, not just responding to the tickets of email or internet outages, but that you are hearing from them every month with recommendations and strategy for how to best use IT to accomplish your business objectives.
So I think I've heard the term break fix, right? So it's as opposed to the philosophy of when it's broken, they'll fix it. But other than that, you never hear from
That's right.
the company. And this is not just in IT services. This is a lot of businesses, right? But certainly in IT services, you're as a business owner, no news is good news. But it's really good to hear on a regular basis from your services provider.
Yeah, the way that we say it is we want to get out of the server room and into the boardroom.
So
that we are your number 3 call. I want you to call your lawyer. I want you to call your accountant. And then I want you to call your IT guy.
And being involved in strategy, that's really what you're talking about, right? Being there with companies as they grow and expand and as they plan to grow and expand.
Yeah, I think a lot of times we see technology as just being a necessary evil or just something that has to happen for us to do business. And there's really another way to look at that. Technology can be a foundation for business growth. And most of the businesses today are technology companies. They use technology at the core of their business to accomplish whatever the service it is that they are providing.
Sure. One of the celebrations that you had for 2024 was 20 years in business. Is that an unusual mark to hit? It's unusual for any business, but I would think for managed services providers, that's an unusual length of time to be in business.
It is. Our industry is fairly young as it relates to other engineering, for instance, or accounting practices. Attorneys have been in business far longer than our industry has ever been in existence. And so we're a very young industry, and it's very special, and it's been a real amazing time this year to celebrate being in business 20 years. And we've gotten a lot of people that have congratulated us. And so it's just been a really fun year to look back and reflect on our progress, some of the things we've done well, some of the things we still want to accomplish, and where we're going to go.
So lessons along the way, right? And I know there's no way we can contain all those lessons in the length of time we have, but talk about some of the moments that stand out for you and those pivotal decisions that you had to make, that if you'd gone down a different path, you might not be sitting here celebrating 20 years.
Oh, that's so true. If you look back at the beginning of our company, we are a completely different company. We're still in the same industry, obviously, but we've learned a lot along the way and still have a tremendous amount to learn. One of the things that we have focused on in the last several years especially is really growing our operational maturity, not just fixing computers better and not just doing projects, but how we do things. And I think that any business that wants to be successful for the long haul has got to continue to focus on becoming a more operationally mature company, whether that's finance and using your cash resources better, whether that's hiring and ensuring that the people that you hire actually can do the job that you're hiring them to do, or just how you deliver your services or how you talk about yourself to your customers. All of those are ever-changing, ever-growing parts of our business.
And I'm struck by that last thing you said there about how you talk about yourself to customers, particularly in your industry, Jason, where so many of us don't really understand technology, or our understanding may be just enough to be dangerous, right? And so maybe we assume we know more about you and your work, right, than what we do.
That's true. It's that's the reason I work with a CPA, is because I don't want to have to know everything about filing my taxes. Similarly with technology, there is an idea that as long as somebody else handles it, then it's taken care of. And a really good partner in our space walks alongside business owners to make sure that we're aligned with their directionality, that the plans that they have for the company and the growth of the company and the success of the company, that we are working to help them accomplish those things, as opposed to off doing whatever we think is best from an IT perspective. If you leave an IT person too long to themselves, they'll get a little squirrely and do things just for the sake of technology.
I guess that is irresistible in a way. But I guess when you talk about what you do, and this is a subject that's passionate with me, which is why I bring it up, there are a lot of people that do what you do, right? And I put what you do in quotes, but their delivery is different.
Yep.
And how they approach the client is different. And how they service the client is different. And just like what you talked about, the proactivity being so unusual in your industry, yet so important.
Yeah, I always joke that in the Atlanta market, you can swing a dead cat and hit about 5 MSPs like us. But when you're a business owner comparing multiple MSPs for who to work with, it can be very challenging to compare apples to apples.
Yeah.
To make sure that the services that you want and need, and to make sure that, which we always talk about, and I wish we never had to talk about it, but you have to make sure that security is part of the conversation.
Yeah.
And it's not going away. I was just having breakfast this morning with a friend of mine, and we were talking about security and how a company literally lost $1 million because someone clicked on a link in an email.
Wow. So there's a great one right there. And I'm not going to make you say this, because I've read this again and again and heard this again and again from other MSP providers that I've had in the studio, is that the most common way in for the bad guys is typically through your employees. And maybe you as the business owner, right? Let's just don't blame the employees, hypothetically speaking. Hit the wrong link. And sometimes in spite of all the training you've had, right? So how do you, as the business owner, or as the service provider, I should say, how do you have that?
Talk about both.
Yeah. How do you have that conversation though with your client?
Yep.
When it's something they've done and you know that, but they're frustrated, they're mad, their business is shut down, and then you're coming in saying it's your fault. That's a tough conversation.
Very carefully.
Yeah.
No one wants to pay for security until right after an incident happens. That's the unfortunate truth. But one of the things that we talk about as it relates to security is that employees have to keep security top of mind. It's when we're all busy and we're trying to get 3 people's jobs done that we accidentally click on that link because we just didn't, we didn't have enough brain cycles to focus on security. And so part of what we offer or what we educate our clients on is security awareness and the training that goes with that. And the goal is really just to keep security top of mind, that if I can get a few seconds before you accidentally click on that email, I can probably get you to not click on it. And back to the business owner side of things, they have to lead by example. There has to be a focus, or a mandate is probably a little strong, but at least from the leadership of a company, it has to be communicated regularly that it's important, because ultimately it's their liability and it's their money, their skin in the game, so to speak. And so it has to be something that's talked about a lot.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Let's shift gears and talk about mission statements. I usually don't ask that question of a lot of companies because they don't seem to think it's that important, because they don't bring it up to me. It's something they want to talk about. But that's something you want to talk about, because for you and your people, that's an important aspect of how you run your business day to day.
It really is. And so our mission actually is to use our abilities and technology to have a positive impact on the lives of our clients, employees, and community. And over the last, since I bought my business from my business partner, I bought him out back in 2012, we wrote that mission statement, and we've only made one change. And the change that we made was to add community, because we wanted, at the very fundamental heart of our business, to be not just for ourselves, but to be about the community. And so that's the only change that we've ever made to our mission statement. And it's just as representative of the fact that I believe that I'm put here on the planet to serve other people. And I want to keep my hands open and not think that everything that I get is just for me.
So how do you bring that mission statement in day to day, Jason? I'm talking about in terms of emphasizing it to as opposed to it's just on the letterhead or whatever, that you're living that out and your employees are personifying that mission statement.
Right. Actually, it starts in the recruiting process. It is much easier to hire people who believe what you believe and teach them to do what they do than the other way around. We found that when we start talking about our mission in the hiring process, and when we're having phone interviews, and when we bring them in, and when we measure candidates against our core values, that we get people who already believe the thing that we're trying to accomplish. So again, it begins right from the very word go in the hiring process. And then things that don't get talked about don't get done. People will know what you believe in based on what you talk about and the questions that you ask. So we talk about core values a lot. We talk about our mission statement a lot. And we try to relate all of the decisions that we make as a company, as a leadership team, we relate that back to our mission to make sure that everything we do is in service of that mission and isn't sideways energy that's pulling us away from that. So there are things that we've stopped doing because we didn't feel like it was in service of our mission.
Would you mind giving an example?
Sure. Edit.
Yeah. No worry.
Yeah,
I should have said we've got a little way to compress silences too.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So don't worry.
Okay. Fair.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of a specific example. I'm coming up short on that.
We can cut that.
Okay.
No worries.
Yeah. Just cut that one.
Yeah. We'll cut that out. So you brought in community into your mission statement. When was that? What time? At what point in your?
Yeah, that was 4 or 5 years ago, actually. When we sat down to build our core values in service of that mission, we realized that everything that was important to us was went outside the walls of our company. And that the mission statement really ended with our clients and our employees, and it wasn't enough. And so in creating those core values, we realized that we needed to emphasize that we're here to serve not only ourselves and our clients, but the community overall, which has really been part of our journey into joining the Greater North Fulton Chamber of Commerce, because that's where our community is. That's one of the places that our community lives. And it's been really rewarding to be a deeper or greater part of the chamber so that we can continue to focus on that community.
Before we get to the chamber, I want to talk about that. But when you made that change, you had to get buy-in from your employees, right? Before you added that community piece to your mission statement. And how did you walk through that?
That was really important. The first time that we tried, we did it in a vacuum and it went nowhere. We even got I still have it because it's a reminder to me. We even made a metal sign because when you make a sign out of metal, it's got to be real, right?
That's right. That is gold, right?
And it in no way reflected who we were as a company because it was aspirational. So the way that we got buy-in was to actually involve our employees, which is, I know it sounds so obvious at this point, but so we had a team of people, not just people that were in leadership, but a team of people that were part of our company that met for about 9 months over time to talk through what makes us, what really makes us, and what really are our goals. And do we really believe in this mission that we've created? And it was out of those meetings that our core values emerged and the addition of community, because that ultimately became part of who we want to be as a company and the ethos, to use such a huge word, but how we want people to experience our company.
And other than adding the community piece, what you basically did was affirm who you are. So was going through that process worth it to simply affirm who you are, who you already were, and your aspirations?
It was incredibly valuable because it validated that our mission and the goal that we had set for ourselves as a company, and that really, like I said, came out of my personal mission, that it was a worthwhile mission. It was a worthy endeavor, and that we had employees who worked at our company because they really did believe in accomplishing that, which was a byproduct, if you will, but probably one of the more valuable things that came out of that time.
So just talk about, speaking of what came out of that, your employees' participation in community initiatives. What happened out of that process?
One of the things that we implemented out of that, and it took us a little bit to get that figured out, was a structure that we I think borrowed from someone else, I'm sure, called volunteer time off. So in addition to your paid time off when you don't feel good or when you're taking vacation, now you can have extra time to give back to the community. And so we rolled that program out as a result of wanting to live up to what we had said in our mission statement. And one of the ways to do that, obviously you can give your money to community causes, and that's worthy and worthwhile. And we partner with several really incredible nonprofits to give money. But what I found is that giving money doesn't get your heart like giving your time. And some of the most rewarding times that I've worked with charities or worked with nonprofits has been not when I just wrote a check, but was when I showed up and invested time. So volunteer time off, or VTO, is a way for us to really get our people, our employees out in the community, giving of their time, connecting with nonprofit organizations. And the way that it works is you get a day, and if you use a day, you get another day, and you can have up to a week of time. We even had an employee who volunteered for an entire week at a camp and got to use all that time at one time. But it's really instilled into our people that we are willing to give of our time. We are willing to give them their time to go and have a positive impact on our community.
It strikes me about those initiatives, and congratulations on that, by the way. It strikes me that it's not just about the giving, it's about, and not even what you just get from a heart perspective, there's a head perspective too. You learn a lot, right? And there's learning that comes back to your organization because of that, right?
That's right. One of the organizations we've partnered with for a really long time, North Fulton Community Charities, a lot of people really view them as the food bank and the ability for people who have food insecurity to be taken care of. But they have so many other programs that they offer to the community. And it took me getting involved with them and sitting down and meeting Sandy, their executive director, and learning about all of those programs that they offer. And we are now planning for next year to get even further involved and have a poverty simulation. They do poverty simulations to help you learn what the poverty level really looks like and feels.
And what you've got to navigate to go through. If you're in the poverty, under the poverty line, what you've got to navigate, the system.
Exactly right. And it's eye-opening.
Yeah. And it's quite fascinating in a negative way, frankly.
Right.
Yeah. Wow, that's fantastic. So let's switch gears and talk about chamber involvement. So you talked about joining the Greater North Fulton Chamber of Commerce. I think a lot of folks look at joining the chamber as basically it's a marketing issue. It's a lead generation issue, right? They want to build their business, join the chamber, build their business. It sounds like you had a different perspective on it.
And I had the same doubts about chambers early on in my career, and which is why it took me so long to join the chamber or any chamber. And an interesting thing happened after we joined. I realized that it was an extension of community. And so the relationships that I've made at the chamber, I've met some incredible people. Not one of those people have I asked to use my services. It's about learning who they are, about helping each other. The chamber has so many programs that are so valuable especially for small businesses. There's all size businesses that are members of the chamber, but especially for a small business to be able to have people know who you are, to have events that you can go to commiserate. I've met some incredible people that after we meet at the chamber, we grab coffee and we commiserate together on life as an entrepreneur. So there's an amount of therapy that you get out of meeting like-minded entrepreneurs at the chamber. And yes, of course, business is done. It certainly is a chamber of commerce for a reason. But I think the benefits of an organization like the Greater North Fulton Chamber are far greater than just a lead generation opportunity. And so we've been so grateful to be part of it, so much so that I was nominated to be on the board of directors for this next 3-year season. And it's just been the people that I've been able to meet and the relationships I've been able to create, and really just the learning about the North Fulton community has just been incredible.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Now, all this is leading up to another accolade that you received. Speaking of the Greater North Fulton Chamber, you received, Logic Speak received this year, the Greater North Fulton Chamber of Commerce Excellence Award. So this was, in a way, I won't say a culmination because you continue in this work, but it was quite a milestone for you. What did that mean for you and your employees?
It was really special. I got to make a small speech when we received the award. And one of the things that I said was, one, this is for all of the employees at our company who give of themselves, give of their time, and even of their money for our community. So because I'm the mouthpiece, that I take very little of that credit. I give all that to our employees. But at our 20-year anniversary, we've been in business, as we talked about, for 20 years now, to be recognized for community service excellence is the best compliment I think that we could receive. One, because it's right there in our mission statement. And sure, would I love to be recognized for having the largest profits? Or would I love to be recognized for having the best IT services? All of those would be incredible as well. But to be recognized for giving back to our community as the thing that we're known by, that's probably the highest praise we could receive.
And this seems like a crass question in a lot of ways, but I think you have to ask it in this kind of situation because it's a cynical world out there, and people don't really think that they think of giving back more as a strategy than they do something genuine sometimes. Sure. But just talk about how you have been able to maintain this genuine effort to want to serve the community, and how that just simply doing that has helped you build your business without a whole lot of come on, if you will, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it is baked into everything that we do. And to your point, it's not about lead generation, or it's not about, honestly, it's really not even about how good we are. The goal of what I'm here to do and the goal of what we do with community service is to actually get into our communities and to help and to provide time, to give money, to give back. And the way that we do that in our company, in addition to our volunteer time off, is that we will regularly seek out organizations like the North Fulton Community Charities, or we actually volunteer with Hemophilia of Georgia because one of our employees is a member of that organization and recognized a need. And so at least 3 times now, we've all gotten together around a big table and stuffed sandwiches, bread and ham and all that, to be delivered to people that day. And nothing is more rewarding than watching your fellow employees all together give of their time for someone else.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. What fantastic work. Jason Etheridge, folks, from Logic Speak. Jason, this has been fantastic. Before I let you go, though, I want to just ask two more questions, one of which is talk about how the success of Logic Speak shows up in clients say about you. In other words, I want you to brag on yourself a little bit. We've spent all this time talking about all the great things you're doing for others, and that's wonderful. But let's talk about why folks do business with you.
So that's an interesting question. This year, being our 20th anniversary, we had a gala back in April. And as part of that, we asked clients who would be willing to either say, one, why they liked us or what they liked about who we are. And we even recorded a few of them, so you can see them in posterity. But the overarching set of comments that we received across many of our clients was that they appreciated how kind that our employees are and how they never make them feel stupid, and yet we're really good at fixing their problems or doing what they need us to do. And the fact that we have employees who care about clients and that aren't just trying to close a ticket and get on to the next thing and go home, I think that shows through that comment that the thing that they know us to be is to be kind. And we just want to be courteous and helpful to our clients and to serve them in any of the ways that we can.
Wow. Such great work. Jason, I can't imagine there aren't some folks that wouldn't want to be in touch after hearing this conversation. So let's tell them how they can find you.
Absolutely. Probably the easiest way is on the web at logicspeak.com, and via email, easiest way is hello@logicspeak.com. And I would love to reach out and have a conversation.
And if you don't mind me saying, if you're not connected with Jason on LinkedIn, connect with Jason. He puts out some great posts there on just general business management, and it won't make your head spin with all the technical terms. He puts out some great stuff that I really enjoy, so I better underline that. So thank you for that as well. Jason Etheridge with Logic Speak. Jason, keep up the great work.
Thanks so much. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, always. Thank you. Hey, folks, just a couple of quick things before we let you go. I have a book out for you if you are a solo small services provider and you've got issues around understanding your value. Your business development may have flatlined. Maybe you're having trouble with your pricing. If that describes you, I've written a book for you. It's called The Generosity Mindset, a journey to business success by raising your confidence, value, and prices. You can find the book, as the old saying goes, where all fine books are sold. Go to thegenerositymindset.com to learn more and find out where to buy the book. Also, I just want to thank you. If you're listening to the show, I want to thank you because you have contributed to the success of this show in so many different ways. You listen, you like us on social media, you comment on the great guests that we have on the show like Jason, you share the show, and you send us great guests. You help us live into our mission to be the voice of business in the North Fulton region and beyond, and we couldn't do it without you. Thank you. So for my guest, Jason Etheridge, I'm John Ray. Join us next time here on North Fulton Business Radio.